Hey, what's good, people? How we doing? First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and all the mother figures out there. Um, yeah, thank you so much, thank you so much, thank you so much, thank you so much. Um, I I cannot begin to process or picture what it's like to be a mom. No matter how much I might think I know or I might get um, taught. I don't think I can ever understand what it's like to be a mom, and for that, I appreciate you, mom. I appreciate you, grandma. Um, yeah, and I hope whoever's watching this, I hope whenever you watch this, you are thinking of the motherly figure in your life, and hopefully, uh, you have beautiful memories and beautiful things to say about yourself and your mom. Um, we're gonna be talking about motherhood. We just what it's like to be a mother. Get a bit of insight. So we're gonna have a couple of guests joining us. Evadne and Rochelle, both multi-talented people. We've got so much going on, left, right, center. But yeah, let's let's dive into the world of motherhood. Hey, what's good? What's good?
Hi.
Hey, hello,
Hello.
Vande. Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am blessed. I am blessed. I'm blessed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming
No,
through. Thank.
thank you. How did you find, how do you know about me?
I had to do a bit of research on the gram, and then
Okay.
after going through like loads of moms blog and moms
Yeah,
pages,
yeah.
came across yourself, and really grateful that you replied because I can't imagine how busy you are being a mom and the
Yeah.
the rest on the side as well. Like,
You'll be less busy tomorrow when they're back at school, to be honest. I feel
but
like it's a new beginning.
yeah, I mean, if you got
Two,
two, oh, bless. What's the oldest
eight,
and the youngest?
five.
Okay, all right, so it's still towards those, yeah,
Yeah. It's a nice age, but it's a lot.
yeah. I can't begin to imagine. I can't begin to imagine. How do you? Because from what I gather, you're a fashion stylist. Well,
Yes, I'm a fashion stylist. I do many things. I'm one of those people that does a lot.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so I do fashion. I'm a fashion stylist. That's my job. But I also do art. So I'm an artist,
Wow.
and I also run a business with my husband that we started in lockdown last year.
Wow.
And then I'm just about to qualify as a lecturer. So I'm teaching fashion
Gee.
styling.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. There's not enough black people working in fashion.
Really?
And so, yeah, and so I thought, you know what, I
How
need
is
to
that
give back.
possible? How is
They're
that
just
possible?
not they're just not given the opportunities to get in there. So often I go into shoots and I'm the only person aside from a model who's
All
black.
right.
And so I just want to open the door and yeah, do what I can to help
I,
people.
I'd have thought that would be different because like we're like the most stylish of everybody. I'd
I
have thought
know.
we'd have more.
We're yeah, we're consumers, we're doers, but we're not necessarily leaders.
I mean,
So
we are.
in
We
that
are.
industry, the door is still quite close knit.
Yeah, but okay. Who influences fashion?
I know, it's us.
Exactly. So
I know.
would you say that's more of a bigger role to play than the actual?
It is, but I'd really like to see people start earning money as well for it.
Okay.
Do you see what I
Uh,
mean? So all of that creativity, they can get paid
yeah. Okay. Okay.
and be
All right.
part of it.
So Is there an end goal? Is there a this is where you want to be?
Not really. I'm very ambitious. I always just, I think if I ever got to the stage in my life where I was completely content, then I'd know something was wrong with me. It's just not my nature. I always want more. I'm very appreciative. I'm very grounded, but I think it's always nice to have something to like work towards. So I don't know. I don't have an end goal. But right
Okay.
now yeah, I just enjoy doing different things that make me happy and are fulfilling, and I can keep a roof over my head by doing things that I like doing.
How do you okay, how do you commit to all of that knowing that you've got a family to support? How do you take that risk trying to do something you love doing? Because with what I've observed, trying to earn or make a living or even live comfortably off something you enjoy doing, especially as a
Mhm.
creative, is quite difficult. So how do you take that risk? What was your thinking process when you thought, what, you're gonna pursue?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. My husband is very supportive, so he's always just been like, I want you to be happy. And so he carried a lot of the financial strain when I decided to change careers and do this. But I
Okay,
think I got to a stage in my life where everything was comfortable with what I was doing. I was employed, I was working in PR. And then actually the thing that changed it for me was becoming a mum. And that was the motivation because I was like, wow, this is it. Like
okay,
these children are going to grow up and see me and I'm their role model. And what do I
okay.
want for them? And where do I see my life? And suddenly I just had this light bulb moment and I was like, it's now or never. And
Oh
if I
wow,
don't do it, that's it. So I might as well take this leap of faith
wow.
and do it. And I think I meet so many mums that in their maternity leave or whenever they just suddenly get all these like mums are quite creative like you just suddenly get these ideas. Like I just keep meeting women and they're like, I started this idea when I was in on maternity leave. I had this idea and that you hear about this whole idea of the mum boss and the mumpreneur. There's just I don't know what it is about becoming a mum, but I hear it all the time. So just these women just come up with these ideas and they're like, I'm going to make it happen. I found a problem. Here's a solution. So for me, I just have to. This is it, you
So
know?
if you're trying to secure the bag, if you're trying to make it happen, have kids. That's what you're saying, yeah.
Pardon?
If you're trying to secure the bag, if you're trying to make it happen, make sure your life is going down that track of fulfillment. Have kids.
Not necessarily, but I think having kids gave me a real sense of like my life and that I was like, this is it. I've got one life, and these guys are part of it. And I look at them, and they look at me, and they look at what I'm doing, and they see that I'm happy, and I'm excited, and I'm thriving, and I'm earning money, and that's what I want for them. Like I'm leading by example. I want them. I look at my children, and I want them to do jobs that make them happy and know
Wow.
that they don't just have to do one job in their life either. If they go to university and think, or even if they don't go to university, if they just say, right, this is what I want to do for my job, and then they're like, you know what, I'm feeling this, then I want them to do that. If that makes them happy.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's absolutely that's honestly amazing.
It's a different mindset, like the generation before me, my parents' generation, they wouldn't have seen it like this. You get a good job, like for my granny, I got a job working in PR at M&S. My granny was over the moon, like that's the dream job. I would have stayed there until I retired, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's a good life. It's a decent life. But this idea of fulfillment and yeah, it's just different.
Yeah. What okay, what inspired you to go into fashion design?
Um, to be honest, I've always I've always been into fashion. So from a like toddler age, drawing, helping my mum to make clothes. She would sew, and I would be involved in choosing the sewing pattern, the trimmings,
Whoa.
the fabric.
All right.
I always had a strong opinion about how I wanted to dress, how other people should dress, and
Okay.
I cared about things like that. I noticed things that other kids didn't, and so by the time I was like 10, I remember having a big portfolio of design. I just designed all the
Wow.
time, and then I think I was about 13, and a friend of my mum's gave me an old copy of her Vogue, an old copy of Vogue.
Okay.
And that's I knew about fashion design, but that's the first time I heard of like Versace and all these things. And I remember going into my teacher and going, "Sir, I want to be a fashion designer." And he gave me a copy of a magazine called The Face. And
Okay.
that just opened my eyes. And from then I was like, right, I'm going to do fashion design. And that's what I
Wow.
did for my degree. It,
Wow.
I like the idea of dressing up and expressing yourself. I'm interested in how people wear clothes. I'm interested in what it says, what they're saying about themselves and how clothes can make you feel different ways. So I wanted to be part of that.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's amazing. But like, how do you then? That's just a segment of what makes you you. How do you manage that with being a mom of two?
Yeah, it's hard. This year's been hard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But no, in normal times, I think I've no, let's start again. I have always been intentional as a mum. I strongly believe that if you are a happy mum, your children will be happy. So there's no point trying to mother and you're completely like exhausted and flat out, because you're not helping yourself, you're not helping your kids. So you can't pour out of a empty jar. You've got to fill yourself up. So I've always been about self-care, taking some time out for myself. That's really important for me every day, even if it's 5 minutes to just sit down and have a hot cup of tea, not a cold one. And I, day to day, I wake up at 5:45 every morning. It's something I got myself into. Yeah. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Well, I wake up really early because my kids wake up at 7, and it means if I wake up at 5:45, I have an hour of peace to myself. And I can use that time. Lately, I've been using that time to journal, actually. So that's when I wake up, I'll journal, I'll read a devotional, I'll do meditation, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I just get up and I'm just bashing out work. I'm doing emails, I'm planning for a shoot. And I know that I've started my day being constructive and I've got a lot of stuff out, because I feel like when I'm with my kids, I really want to be with them. And I've done that before, where particularly when they're younger, you're on a call, you're doing work, and you've got one on, like I'm carrying one on my back, I'm cooking, I'm trying to like do a voice note, or I'm sat, one's climbing on me on the desk, and trying to do all these things, and I wasn't doing anything well. Like nothing I was doing was being done well, because I was trying to do it all. So when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. When I'm working, I'm working. And as they get older, they know, if they come in and they see me working out or doing Pilates or whatever, they'll either join me or they'll just walk backwards out of the room and go, "Oh, it's mummy's time. We need to leave her alone." So yeah, I think I juggle it by being really strict with making sure that I'm looking after myself.
Wow. Wow. That's the fact that works. I think the fact that works is what amazes me. Because you sort of read all of these sort of techniques in terms of trying to
Mm,
manage yourself, manage your mental health, find that work life balance, and also secure yourself some self care. But it's always tips and advice, and but
it
to meet someone
is.
who's actually following it, and you've got it. It seems like you've got it mastered. Because
I don't know if I'd have it mastered, but I think one thing I'm learning as I get older is I'm very honest with myself. So sometimes I don't have it mastered, and I will acknowledge that I'm just stressed out. And I'm literally like, where's the CBD? where's the CBD? Where's my headphones? I'm out of this.
Yeah.
But I think I just realized that I'm honest with myself, and that's what works for me. So that's what my self-care looks like. That's what looking after myself looks like for me. It might be different for someone else. I work from home. I've done the commuting, and I've done being the full-time working mum and commuting every day, and that's a whole nother thing. But certainly for me, that is what works, and I have to do it. There's no wiggle room on that, because the days when I don't do it, or the weeks when I don't do it, what happens is it's just chaos, and yeah, you feel like you're being pulled apart. So I need
Oh,
to be grounded in
oh,
order to be a really good mum to my children, a really good wife, a good daughter, a good sister, a good friend, and then good to myself.
see, I sort of forgot that there was that other side to being a mom and a person. Because you think well, I think of my mom and I just think of her as a mom because of just how mom she is. But then you think moms have to deal with that, and then like you said, you got to be a good daughter, you got to be a good sister, you got to be a good friend, you got to be good to yourself. There's so much around being
Yeah,
a mom. Wow, wow, that's intense. That is intense.
yeah, I suppose now that I'm a mum, I look at my mum differently.
Okay,
Because you just, when you're little, you look at your mum and you're just like, that's just mum, that's just what they do. They're just
yeah,
getting on with it. And yeah, you are, but it's different when you're in that place, because there's
okay.
all loads of stuff going on.
Okay, the one thing I know people tend to do, or I'd tend to do when I was younger, is things I'd say I'd do as my parent and things I said I wouldn't do as my parent. Do you do you find yourself consciously thinking about that, or sort of stopping yourself and thinking, oh wait, that's what mom would do, or
Yeah, I think certainly before I became a mum, I was like, I'll never do this, I'll never do that. And now I'm on the other side, and I'm literally like, like I'd be like, oh, I won't have any of those plastic flashing toys, because I want everything to be really like beautiful and all this kind of stuff, and wooden toys. And now I'm like, you're happy, it's flashing, it's a really ugly plastic unicorn that talks and glitters. Great, like do your thing. Go for it. Or like, oh, I don't want them too much screen time, and I'm like, especially as my husband works in tech as well, and these children are growing up in a digital age. So I realized that I'm kind of balancing. Well, they're learning to code. That's a whole language that they're learning. So I can't be like, I don't know, a lot of those things that I thought I never do, I do. But then at the same time, I catch myself and I realize I'm a mum. It's particularly when I'm angry or I'm telling them off. And I'm like, oh no, I'm a mum. I'm like, why are you making so much noise upstairs? Stop all the noise. I'm like, oh
oh.
no, I'm becoming my mum. I get it. I get it now.
So you hold your mom a big hug then, just to say
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
do. Well, they haven't got to teenage years yet. Once I get through that, I'm literally, yeah, that's the bit I'm dreading because of how I was.
Oh, are they both girls? Have you got two girls?
Now I've got a boy and a girl, so it's the
Girls, but
girl.
oh, balance.
Right, oh no.
At least you got balance. You got balance. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm not sure which was more of a handful, two girls or two boys.
I think little boys, when they're little, they're just like puppy. They're just noisy and climbing on things and moving around. I think the biggest concerns that I have now is my son as a teenager in South London. That's the kind of stuff that I'm already starting to think about, and just, yeah, I mean, where we live particularly, there were times when, I mean, there was a boy who was stabbed across the road from us a few years ago.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
It happens all the time, and that's the kind of stuff that we're starting to talk about.
Wow.
Raising a black boy who is streetwise, who is safe to go to, and I'm not worrying every day about them coming home from school or sending them to the same, can you go and get me some milk? So simple things like that.
Wow. So we've got Rochelle joining us. She was meant to join us at the start, but she was putting her baby to sleep.
Oh.
Yeah. That's.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi, Rochelle.
So sorry about that. Hiya, how are you?
We're good. Well, I'm good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. How's your baby?
He's basically going to be 2, so he's really not a baby anymore. But yeah, he was just screaming, so I was like, no, I need to put him to bed.
Yeah.
Have you guys got any kids?
I've got 2 kids, but they're a bit older than yours now, so I'm kind of past that. Every time I think of having another one, I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh, no.
I like my sleep.
Oh gosh.
I'm not quite there yet. So this is like a learning experience for me, taking
Cool.
taking all the little tips. So Ivadne, is that how I pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Ivadne. Ivadne is she's a woman of God, of many things. I don't even know.
Doing all the things.
Do you just let Rochelle know a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a mum of 2. I've got a 5-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy. And then I'm a freelance fashion stylist and an artist. But I started a business with my husband in lockdown that kind of took off. And then I'm just finishing up to qualify as a lecturer, a fashion lecturer for like colleges and uni. So that's.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Really interesting.
Lots of
you got a lot
things
going on. Yeah, loads going on there.
That I was saying that I keep meeting mums and they're like, there's just something switches and they have ideas and they're like starting a business or like, I don't know, just something sort of changed with me. And so I just do things. I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Whatever works for you, really.
What about you, Rochelle?
So as you know, I'm a mum of 2. I'm a wife, so I'm married as well. I am actually a senior practitioner, so I'm a social worker. I work in children's services, so that front line. Got a mummy podcast. I've also got my own mummy blogging page as well. So that's pretty much it. But it's a lot.
So you both taken on a lot. That is, again, I still can't comprehend how you manage to juggle everything. About, like, I was speaking to Ivana earlier about how she managed to juggle everything, about how she managed to keep being a mom and having a life outside that, keep it balanced. What about yourself? How do you balance all the things that make you you?
Do you know what? I honestly don't know how I'm surviving. I don't know how I'm doing it. I just think that when you've got a bit of willpower, when you know what you want to do, when you know what you want to achieve, and you know what your goals look like, you become really motivated to do it. So for me, it is hard because obviously having such a young child, I went back to work when he was 6 months old. So I didn't really have that whole year of maternity and bonding and all of that stuff. And then obviously to send him into nursery. And then it's just basically just to make sure that his future is secure. That's what's at the forefront of my mind at the minute, making sure that I kind of give him the best footing in life as possible. And then doing all the extra endeavors that I do. I enjoy doing these things. It is a lot of work, but I enjoy it as well. Sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, am I neglecting my family? Am I putting too much into these things? Am I not in the present, the here and the now? Am I thinking too far ahead? Where am I at, sort of thing? I don't know if Yolande can relate to that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what I was saying, like you're constantly thinking. Your head never switches off. You're thinking of like every single scenario. I was just saying, like, even with my 8-year-old boy, I'm thinking about him as a teenage boy, and like, is he going to be safe? His journey to school, so like all sorts of things. Them going back to school tomorrow, you're thinking about things. It never stops. And the same, like, because I do my Mums at Slay blog stuff, and you think, but I balance it out, Rochelle, because I'm just like, you need this time for yourself, and if it makes you feel happy, that's a good thing for your kids to see. It's inspiring.
It's true. I mean, I guess my perception is that I don't know, do children ever think about, oh, mummy and daddy did this for me because they were trying? Do you know what I mean? I feel like reflecting on my own childhood and being an adolescent and stuff like that, I'm always like, oh, my mum and dad should have done this, or they should have done that, or they should have done these things for me. And it's only as you become much older, you start to think, actually, I can see why they were doing these things. So yeah, maybe there'll be that appreciation a little later down the line.
Yeah, it'll be later.
I'm hoping a lot later on, right?
I think that's similar to what Evadne was saying earlier about, there's certain things a mom did or parents did that now that she became a mom, she can now see why, why she done it. Like it's amazing that you both sort of, think that way about being a mother. Is there anything you do as a mother that sort of triggers you to your mother that you think, oh God, that's what my mom used to do?
Do you know what? As I've gotten into motherhood, I'm still not 100% in it yet. I'm still fairly a new mother, I think. He's going to be 2 in March, the 16th. So I'm like, yeah, I'm still a new mom. I'm still learning. I'm still navigating my way, and there's still a lot of things that I don't know. But with regards to my own mom, sometimes I'm like, I say things and I'm like, that's what my mom used to say, or that's how my mom said, oh, yeah, you're gonna raise your child in this. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm totally different. We're nothing alike. And then I end up saying little phrases or things that she says, and I'm just like, hold on a second, you sound like Debs. My mom's name's Deborah. I'm sure she won't mind me sharing that, but you sound like Debs for a second. What is going on? But me and my mum, we're quite similar, but we're quite different as well. So my parenting is a bit more lax, whereas she's a bit more like, no, a bit more firm and stuff like that. So we do clash in that instance. But other than that, I definitely hear myself in her sometimes.
Oh gosh.
I said the same thing.
What's your first the first time you found out you're going to be a mom, or the first time sort of hit you? Do you both sort of remember that moment where?
I think so the first time I became a mum, I just remember feeling like I wanted to become a mum, like we wanted to get pregnant, but at the same time I was like, wow, I'm going to be a mum. And it's something you think about, particularly as a girl, from a very young age. You're playing with your dollies, you pretend to be a mum, you stick your dolly up your jumper and you pretend you're pregnant. And I was like, my gosh, I have life growing in me. This is it. I just remember being so excited and terrified and thinking, am I too young? Like, I wasn't even young, but am I ready? Just all sorts of things. And I was living in Canada, so I was away from all of my friends and family, and just I felt a little bit lonely in that sense. But I just remember being incredibly excited, and I bought like 10,000 books on pregnancy and read them all, and I was obsessed about every single week and what was happening inside my body. But yeah, I just remember being so happy. All sorts of feelings, really.
Wow. Wow.
There was a problem though at one point. I remember the midwife, she thought she could hear 2 heartbeats.
Oh.
And that was terrifying, because the thought of having twins for my first kid was, yeah, that was scary. Like that I was like, this cannot happen. This is not my portion. And thankfully it was just my big son. I was not ready for twins. But yeah.
Wow. We're just talking about your first sign that you sort of discovered, or it sort of hit you that, you know, you're about to be a mum. What was that like for you?
Absolutely shocking. And not in shocking as in the sense that, oh, I didn't know that potentially I could end up pregnant, but it was the fact that I was pregnant, and it wasn't supposed to happen at that moment in my life. I was planning my wedding. I was doing a lot of things. I was saving. I was trying to buy my home. There were so many different things that I was doing. And then it was like, whoa, this massive spanner in the works. And I wasn't ready. It was a shock, but a natural shock, I would say. And then being pregnant, I don't think it actually dawned on me that you're going to be a mum. You're going to actually be a mum. I wasn't ready for it. In terms of practice, I have quite younger cousins, so I had a bit of practice there. Then my brother, he's got 2 children, so they're older than Lucas, so I had a lot of practice there, but I still wasn't actually mentally ready to become a mother. And I think it was approaching maybe the 40-week mark, and I was just like, okay. Mentally, you're actually going to go into labor very soon, and that means you're going to be leaving the hospital with a baby. And I think it was at that point I was like, okay, you're going to be a mum. Are you ready for it? I was questioning myself like all the time, are you actually ready for this? And up to this day, sometimes I'm just like, I'm actually a mum. I can't believe that I'm a mother.
Oh, I think that all the time.
I look in the mirror and I'm like, are you Rochelle? Are you Shells? Or your mom? Like, who are you? So I think there is definitely a massive identity shift, and identity crisis for some mums when they do become mothers. It's hard. It is hard. It's hard. And I know I always say, and I say on every platform, that I only plan on having one child. But for me, it's just been a massive adaptation in terms of like things I have to do, going out, my independence. Like children are really, really heavily reliant on their mums. And actually having a child now makes me even more grateful for my mum, or to my mum, just for the sacrifices that she made career-wise. Loads of different things, like not being able to do certain things, maybe going on holidays and stuff like that, just because she was a mum and she devoted her life to being a mum.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. When I had my son, I bought myself a necklace with my name on. It was just like, I was like, no, I'm me. Like, I know I'm a mum, but I'm still me. But I will say, as mine have got older, you do find, not that you've lost your old self, but you're more than a mum. Like, you're a new version of yourself, which is your mum, the mum, and who you become. Like a couple of years ago, and I'm so glad I did it now, because literally 3 months later, coronavirus came. But I went to New York. I did a mumcation, as I called it, and I went by myself to New York for a week, and I met up with, I've got a friend who lives in New York and another friend who lives in Boston. And, you know, my kids are old enough, they stayed with dad, stayed with my husband, and I went to New York for a week by myself, and I had a great time, and I never ever could have imagined doing that. And I thought I was doing something really radical, but when I was speaking to some of my mum friends, they're like, yeah, I always do that. I was like, oh, I've been missing this trick, because I came back feeling completely revived. And I was really, you know, like on it again with the kids. That sense of stress had all gone. It was amazing. And I was ready to do it again last year, but obviously no. Lockdown and homeschooling. But it does come back. It's hard. You don't, and I meet so many women, they just don't know who they are and who they should be, and you feel guilty. You're not doing enough for your kids. Are you being too selfish? Are you not looking after yourself? What could you be doing better? Like every little thing. That's what I mean. You're constantly thinking before you go into bed. You're like, oh, maybe I should have put more vegetables on the plate. You know, they're not the reading or the phonics. Maybe we should have read this today. And yeah, it never stops. But you have to give yourself a break. And I always think of, I remember when I had my son, there was a meme that went around, and it was like the dad at night, the mum and dad in bed. And the dad's just like, I'm a great dad. That's all he's thinking. And then the mum is like, oh, the laundry, da, da, da. You're like literally thinking all these things. And it is like that. It's very different.
It just never, it's never ending.
No.
And not to moan and to sound like it's a negative experience. It's just that shift from thinking about I and self into now thinking about your child 24/7. So whatever I do, Lucas is always at the forefront of that. However my day is going, I have to think about, okay, what's Lucas going to be doing? What's he eating? Is his breakfast sorted? Is his clothes sorted? Like now I've got his clothes all set out for nursery, his bag is packed, everything's ready for tomorrow, because if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. But it's just the way that I am. And mothers are, we have to think, we have those things in the forefront. Even when we're sleeping, we're dreaming about our kids.
But as a mother though, how do you go on a mumcation? Are you able to, so when you went to New York, were you able to turn off your motherly mentality?
No. So like I remember I was so excited to go, and then literally on the day I went, I got in the cab to go to the station and I cried. I was like, oh, I'm leaving my babies, my husband, I can't, like literally. And all I could do was like, I'm going to see my girls, we're going to have fun. And literally from the moment I left, I was like, oh. But then I got on the plane, and after a while I got out there, and, you know, I FaceTimed. My son was practicing his violin with me out there. But at the same time, I just, you know, I check in on them, but then it wasn't good for them as well. They were missing me. And they had this great time to have the whole week with daddy. So after a while, like, you know, I called them at the beginning, I called them before I left. And I just, not that I switched off, because you don't stop thinking about your kids, you don't stop thinking about your family. But I really enjoyed hanging out with my girls and not having the kids like pulling at me or being distracted, which is what was normally happening. And we just had this time to like spend hours talking to each other. Never could do that. Or like, me just having a day and saying, today I'm going to do all of this today, go to the museum, go have this to eat, I might just go to a vintage shop. No, I'm not going to go to it, I'm going to do this. I hadn't been able to do that for years. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I came back and I was refreshed. I'd got all of that out of my system and hat back on and back to normal. It was great.
I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly can't wait to do that.
It's been a long time.
What would be your ideal location for a mumcation then?
Oh, anywhere. I'm not picky. And anywhere, and I've said it, our friend, I was like, I can't wait till this lockdown's over so I could just, like, even if it's for a weekend, like Saturday, Sunday, if it had to be in the UK, anywhere, just to have a breather, just to collect myself, just to reflect, just have some fun, and just have some downtime from being a mum and just being myself again. So honestly, anywhere would do for me.
You know, like fussy. I remember when my son was at school and then my daughter started nursery, and one day I went to a spa. So I dropped them both to school. I went to a spa in Battersea, so it wasn't far from me. I spent like a bit of the day at the spa and I was back for the school run. And it was just, that, because I hadn't done anything like that for years. You're just having kids, making babies, having babies, make another one. And that was good. So that it is just having that time to yourself, because you need to, you know, I was saying this before, you need to have that time of grounding. And so yeah, I was saying, Rochelle, you know, and I think it is because my kids are older, but I'm really intentional with the time that I have for myself because I can just leave them to play. And often when I leave them to play, that's when my mum comes out because I'm shouting at them for making loads of noise, but they're having fun doing their thing. And I'm left to like have a little bit of freedom without someone climbing on me or needing, you know, when they're younger, they physically, they need you.
Yeah, like
They
I
can't
can't.
survive on their own.
No, absolutely. There's no such thing as independent play yet or anything like
No.
that. It's literally, if I go upstairs, it's mum. If I go to the kitchen, it's mummy. If I go to the bathroom, like he'll come and open the shower door if I'm in there. Like he'll come and sit on my lap if I'm in the toilet. So I actually don't get any breathing space. He's
Yeah.
all over me. I actually dropped him to my mum and dad's for the weekend, and my mum was like, as soon as he woke up, it was mummy, mummy. That's all he said, like mum, mum, mum. Like obviously, yes, he knows his dad and stuff like that, and he'll go to, but he's just, when I'm putting on makeup, he's there with his makeup brushes as well, doing it too. So he's attached, like literally attached.
Oh man, that's cute. That's cute. So, Ivani, would you say you miss that side? Because that sounds completely different to your journey as a mother now. I think you're both in different.
Yeah.
So you miss that. Would you say you?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I'm like, I want another baby because I just miss the I miss them needing me as much. But I want the independence. And I think part of being a mum is you're training them up to ultimately push them out the nest. So as hard as it is, like when my son, he, you know, a couple of months ago, he's like, I can put myself to bed now. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, but
oh,
I've been, oh my, just little things, you know. My daughter's going to be 6, and I think of her just as a baby the other day, and I look at them sometimes, and I'm searching their face for that baby and wondering where the time went. I'm looking at old videos of them that feel like yesterday, of them toddling around and not speaking, you know, like I can't even understand them. I can't understand what that toddler was saying. And yet I knew it all then. So yeah, I do miss it. But each stage that comes is amazing. I'm having conversations with my kids now that are just great. Like and especially in lockdown, that's one thing we've got out of it. I never would have had all of this time with them to just understand who they are, how they see the world. They're interesting, and I can see their personalities, and I know who they are. Um, so it's nice, but a part of it is now I'm realizing that it starts to get quicker and quicker. So I really do want to just enjoy every moment.
Oh, yeah, that's what they say to me all the time. Like, just
Yeah.
enjoy the moment because he's not going to be this small and cute and mummy-fied all the time. He's going to grow up and you're going to miss this stage. So I'm trying to embrace it. I'm trying to live in the moment and to just, yeah, but the time definitely goes really quickly because I'm like, oh my gosh, the baby phase is slowly like, I can't even remember him like as a little tiny baby, let alone this mini human who's nearly 20 years old throwing tantrums and stuff like that. So yeah, the time goes quickly.
oh, that's bliss. That's bliss. That's bliss. You're both very social media involved. Like it drives a lot of the things you do. Um, do you ever sort of think about your children growing up in that world and if you're gonna sort of protect them, shield them, and how much of that do you show to them, or do you sort of introduce to them in an early age?
That's very, very
Mm.
good question. Very good question. The reason why I say that is because it's been quite a contentious topic for me, especially where Lucas is so young. So I work in safeguarding, and there's a lot of cases that I've come across whereby children's images are used in inappropriate ways. I'm just going to say it like that. And this could be online, it could be very innocent, but they're used in very inappropriate ways. And I remember when I started my podcast, my dad didn't actually know about my mummy blogging page, the Mummy Scrapbook. So I had started that when I was pregnant, and initially I was actually just sharing images, and it was going through each stage of like pregnancy, breastfeed, and all the stuff that comes with motherhood. And then it got to the point where I was just like, okay, I've seen a lot of these other pages. Do I need to start, like, people ask so many questions about you, and do I need to start showing who I am and who my child is? So slowly, Lucas started making his grand appearance online. And then now my page is literally just covered in Lucas. There was a point, and I think it was like last year, when I was just like, I actually am getting sick of putting my child online and just exposing him to essentially, like, yes, people are nice, and yes, you can create fantastic friendships and groups and circles, but they're actually strangers. I've never met these people in real life, in person, to say, I know who you are. And I think that's the ugly side of social media. And I think that's the daunting side, especially for parents, that we actually don't know who it is behind the phone. Like, people create fake accounts all the time. You can steal someone's picture and pretend to be somebody else. And my child is essentially online for everyone to see. So in terms of like ensuring that he's safe, I try not to post him in the nude. So I make sure that he's fully clothed. Try not to post him, like, I've done a few posts where he's in the bath, but you can't see anything apart from his head. So I try and make sure that his body is covered up as much as possible. I know every mum's different. Some will say, oh, it's cute to see the baby in the nappies and stuff like that, but each to their own. I need to make sure that my child is safeguarded as much as I can with what I'm doing. And now actually he's of the age where he pushes my phone out of my hand. He doesn't like taking pictures, and I honestly feel like I'll use the word exploited. I've taken so many pictures of him and videos and to put online, and he doesn't like it anymore. As soon as he sees my phone like this, he's screaming like, no, mummy, no. He doesn't like it. So now he's on a break. I'm not gonna like take pictures of him, whatever. If he can't see, then that's different, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I need a picture of Lucas. So I need to kind of center what I'm doing around myself. I'm an adult, I can consent to what I'm doing. If it be cleaning, if it be me having a mummy nag, then that's a different story, and I can put myself out there. I think that when they do get a bit older, I don't know what they're going to think. I don't know whether they're going to be happy with this generation of parents literally posting every single picture online. I also think, like, our pictures were in photo albums, so we could go back, we can look through the photo album, but theirs are all online for everyone to see. What if they don't like it? What if they're like, I wish my mum never put me online? And my dad says it to me all the time, just be careful, think about what you're doing. And I'm just like, yeah, it's in the back of my mind. It's definitely a thought. So that's the tricky side for me.
Yeah, I'm similar. So as I said, my husband is a techie. So he's always been suspicious of social media for ages. He doesn't have any social media accounts. Whereas I'm just like, yeah, I've always loved it. With my kids, so a couple of things I've done. I've never used their real names on social media. So I have made up like pet names that I've used for them since they were on there. And I think similar to Rochelle, I remember I was on Instagram kind of I was on there early, like in 2012. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And I remember coming across what you're talking about, like people using images of babies and in an inappropriate way. So I was always aware of that. And to begin with, I wasn't really putting their pictures on. And then I was like, oh, I'll only do it like a bit of a face. And then I was just putting their pictures on. But for me, it's definitely none of this in the bath or swimsuits and stuff. Like you couldn't pay me enough money for me to do that, just because of the things that I've heard have happened with some of those photographs. I think for me, because of what I do, so I do kids fashion styling, and so a lot of the clients that I use, particularly in lockdown, I've been doing shoots with my children for brands. I'm comfortable doing that, and they don't mind, to be honest. So until they say they don't want it, then that's fine. But I use their images where it syncs with what I do for a job. But that's about it. And the day that comes and they're like, we don't want to do this, and they don't do it. Basically, I don't know what it will be like. yeah, it's interesting. Social media, this generation of mummy influencers, what will these kids turn into? I actually think they'll be quite anti. And from what I can see from Gen Z, they're very much more private than us. But yeah, we'll see. So that's it for me and my kids.
What makes you say they're much more private?
I think not private, but they're just a little bit more aware. And so they're kind of shunning like hashtags. They're not really into like filters and presenting yourself in the perfect way that we probably are. Like our feeds are much more curated and considered. If you go on TikTok, people are happy to just have a laugh at themselves and just be a little bit more real and authentic, I think, than us. And certainly what, like what I'm seeing with the students that I'm teaching, it's just it's a different mindset. So I think it'll be interesting to see what our children grow into. But they're certainly grown up, even in school, they're learning about social media. They're learning about the dangers. Like they've seen how the dark side of social media, and everyone's kind of learning it in a way that we were the guinea pigs. And they will have, they'll have a better understanding of it, I hope. Certainly my kids will be. With my husband, there's no playing.
Yeah, I think it's hard just because when you have older children, there's a lot more pressures. So there's a pressure to dress a certain way, there's a pressure to look a certain way. So I think, yeah, with each age group, there's going to be different kind of pressures that they have with regards to online and stuff like that. But I know a lot of stuff does happen, like bullying online and
exactly
inappropriate images or sending around and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a whole nother realm, really.
I think, yeah, parents of teenagers that I know, it's really tricky. And for me, I don't want to I want to hold out on my kids having phones as long as I can. And I will be checking it daily because they're almost desensitized to porn and they're sharing images of each other. It's very inappropriate. A lot of bullying for girls, low self-esteem. It's very messy. So yeah, that is a worry. Teenagers right now is a worry. But I do feel for the little ones, hopefully they're going to be okay because their parents are more aware.
Hopefully.
We're coming to like the last 5 of our little talk. There's one thing we love. I don't know about yourselves. We love music. We love music. I don't know about you too. If you do love music, I don't know if you've got a song that sort of I don't know, that reminds you that you're a mom, like sort of celebrate being a mom. Is there a track you listen to that like you get your mom groove to?
No.
Okay.
No, right. There isn't, because I'm just like trying to not be a mum 24/7. So the music I listen to, what I watch, it's not mummy. It's like disassociating myself from motherhood. Like the music I listen to is literally for shells, like my me to enjoy, like for me to turn up, for me to have fun. I try to like outside of the hours that
nursery rhymes,
literally everything, like whatever he listens to on the TV, like all the children's songs and the nursery rhymes. Yeah, I think that's enough mummified stuff for me.
Yeah, I mean, I love music and I listen to it all day long, but like in my shower, I have a Bluetooth speaker, and every morning I have a playlist that I listen to that is like my feel-good playlist, but it's nothing to do with being a mum, it's to do with being me, Evadne. So I've got all sorts of tunes from my childhood. I got Shaka, I got Prince, I got Tayana, I got all sorts of Beyonce, everything on there. It's about me feeling like I've got this, because you kind of need to power yourself up to get through the day. And as you said, Michelle, stay motivated. So my music is like power, woman, you've got this, you are good, you are awesome, let's go.
I love that.
What artist or what track makes you feel like that? So there's gonna be a track that comes under, you're like, yeah. What's your you track then?
God, I've got so many. I don't know. It depends on the mood.
I was gonna say that as well.
Yeah. Like Level Up is always a good fun one in the morning. And actually, I like Ciara Level Up because my daughter loves it. So I like to think of her like getting powerful and being a strong woman, not a strong woman, but like an authentic young girl and becoming an authentic woman when she's older and just feeling like, yeah, we've got this. But I couldn't give you one. It could be a day where it's like Erica Badu. Or,
love Erica. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just for me, my moods like music depends on my mood and then the genre that I listen to. So honestly, it could be anything. Today in the car, I'll be listening to some Afro beats just because I just needed to have a little dance session in the car driving. It just depends. And sometimes I like a bit of trap music, and then other times I like old school R&B.
I like trap music in the car. If I've driven to school, normally I drive to school and then on my way back I'm like, I'm in the car. I'm imagining I'm in a music video. I just done a school run. I'm like, yeah, boy, let's go.
honestly. So it just depends on the mood that I'm in.
I swear all your listeners will be like looking at their mums differently, like, what?
Yeah, like, whoa. Mums are cool too, you know.
Yeah, we are cool.
We're cool. We still got it.
We just don't let them see it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've both been amazing, absolutely amazing. I still can't comprehend how you guys manage to do all that you do, but you know, all the best, and I wish you both great journey through motherhood, and I wish, you know, both of you success, you know, being a parent, and hopefully, not hopefully, by the grace of God and universe, your kids are going to grow up to be exemplary people in society, and they're going to lead by example, and they're going to make both yourself and their fathers proud. So thank you ever so much, and all the best in all that you do. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank
you for having us. Thank you.
It's calm. All right, have a blessed week ahead. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. You too. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Lovely to meet you both. Bye.
Yeah, you too.
4, 3, 2, 1. Level up. 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 All this on me so yummy. All this sauce so yummy.